Well, being in employer branding can often feel like a lonely job, and that's why it's really important to build employer branding communities so that EBers can all get together and really share their experiences, share the highs, share the lows, and that's really one of the main ways that the industry or the sector are going to move forward, which is why I'm absolutely delighted to have Claire de Souza and Alex Her with me, who are co-founders of the EB Space. So let's get on with the chat. Really, it's great to have you here. Alex over in London from the US.
Thanks for having us.
Tell us a bit about the community that you started building. How long ago was it?
18 months ago.
18 months.
Last February. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So quick intro from both of you, and that's all about what the community is.
Yeah.
And in particular, I'm really interested about why the community. So
A quick one. You can go first.
So Alex Her, co-founder, a good friend here and co-founder of the EB Space. So we are an all Discord community, free for all.
Yeah.
That's never going to change, and global, and we could dive into some of the details afterwards, but I will popcorn it over to Claire.
Claire de Souza, fellow co-founder. And yeah, the community was designed to be global, free for employer branders who do the work, and designed to connect people. That's what we wanted from it. And it's been amazing. A real roller coaster, I think, but amazing.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So talk us through like that, the trajectory of the EB Space, kind of how did you get it started, and how much has it grown over the last, say, 12 months?
It was an idea. So we were chatting. so we were chatting about how we'd been in different communities before and they didn't feel global to us. And we sort of said, well, what if we did our own? And I think Alex, you were way bolder than I am. You're like, let's just do it. And I was like, should we? And we started building it behind the scenes. And I remember this very clearly. For me, it was a very rainy February evening. We had everything sorted and we'd written this like LinkedIn post, and Alex said to me, you post it. And I said, oh. So I was running around London and trying to find my place like away from A to B, and they literally were like, let's just post it. So we just literally clicked the we're live button.
It was intentional, right? So we wanted to, so I think the communities we were part of were either like two US-ish, two UK-ish. And so I wanted Claire to do that where it could be, okay, you know, we're partners in this together, right? It's it's definitely not male dominated, but also that we would speak more to a global audience. Because I think if I did that, it'd come across as too American, and I, you know, although I'm a co-founder, I want to be in the shadows a little bit more. But that, and then I'd say, you know, when we did eventually, you know, have that created, give a little credit to, you know, I had to pick the brain of my son, who him and his cousins, they have a Discord server. So I said, hey, can you actually show me how you do this, right? Because I think it has everything we need, you know, instead of just relying on like a social media platform, we could have like video, chat, voice features, host events there. And then it all pretty much runs itself. So we did that. The one time ever when Claire was a little iffy on moving forward, because typically she's the bold one. I'm like more cautious on things. It was the only time where she was like, okay, you know, maybe let's hold off on that. I was like, no, let's make it happen. And here we are now. We're still on this crazy adventure.
How many people have you got now in the EB Space?
Over 600 people, at least 650, I think, and across 45 countries.
That's brilliant.
It's just gone mad.
It was crazy. Yeah, we were looking at the numbers to build for a yet to be announced event. And we're putting together the deck, and we're like, okay, you know, we have X amount of members. What countries are they from? And so when you break it down, you're like, wow, that's flipping crazy.
So what kind? Because you've obviously probably got the big hitters in terms of countries, but there are some like what are the kind of most remotest or furthest away, further afield countries?
Botswana. Loads of countries in South America, Vietnam,
South Africa.
Yeah, it's countries you wouldn't normally think. So countries where you'd think employer branding is probably sat with an HR person, which is quite typical. But actually, they're employer branders. They've got employer branding as their actual job title, I was actually looking up their companies, and we made a bit of a mistake, because when we asked people to fill in a form when they're signing up, we forgot to ask for the location. So to find out where people came from, we had to go in and look up everyone's LinkedIn profile. So we had to literally list it all out. And we both did it. It took us a little while, and then we double checked it. I said there can't be 45 countries here. There were 45 countries, and it's crazy, but also just the breadth of people is incredible, because it's not just focused in the US. And granted, I mean, just geographically, of course, you'd have lots more people in the US, but Europe, there's a huge amount of people, Asia, and it just shows how quickly employer branding is growing, but also how connected people want to be within the space, and that's amazing. And it's a real privilege, I think, to just have this community where people come together.
It's really nice that, it just goes to show that there are people who are maybe in countries where it's not as mainstream, and they need to find a space to feel connected with the global community. But also, there's that thing about being in a role, either yourself or you and a small number of people in an organisation doing it. So the fact you've got this like global community that very much is about, doesn't matter where you're coming from, how big your organisation is, how big your team is, just we're here to help each other. You've got like multiple topics, haven't you, in the server?
Yeah,
we do.
What kind of things are we covering in it?
We have like jobs broken down by different regions. So we try to share that as much as we can, or it's ultimately we want people to to share that on their own as well too for others. But we have like employer brand AMA, recruitment marketing AMA,
Tools and tech.
I like the tools and tech. That's good.
There's one that's a humour one, I think, just a thread of people sharing GIFs.
Nice.
Which is great.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, industry humour, is that what it's called?
Yeah, industry humour.
I do love the job ones. I think we've seen a couple of people get jobs from looking at opportunities in this space. Also, people just post things. People ask each other for advice. And I think when you're a solo employer brander, it's actually quite a lonely role in an organisation. No matter how big your organisation is, you're wearing 100 hats, and no one else is doing quite the same job as you, and then you don't really have people in the organisation who do your job, so you can't go and bounce ideas off really easily. So having other people, you can just say, what do you think, what goes on, and it's all Chatham House rules, so it's all confidential, and that's really great that you can go in and just speak to somebody, whether it's a different country, whether it's somebody who's maybe a bit more senior than you, who's been there, done it, or somebody who's on the same path as you. It's just full of people at all different stages of their career who openly give and share their advice freely. Literally, somebody posts a question and somebody in another country answers it. It's amazing.
I mean it can be so daunting to just have the Google, search bar there, waiting for you to ask it a question. Obviously, now use TikTok into that, but to be able to kind of filter it down, by having this community is fantastic, and it is, I think, very reassuring for the growth of the sector. That a community like this exists. When I was in Dubai. I was in Dubai a few months ago, and lucky enough to do a shoot, and met up with Hassan, who's based in Dubai. He's like, it's just me, it just feels like it's me in Dubai. It's get onto the EB space, and just get active on there. And I even said to him, why don't you set something up in Dubai? It could just be a few tables in a pub, or in a bar. On that, actually, so let's talk about last night. So you decided.
Good segue.
It was you decided to set up. So the event happened yesterday.
Yeah.
At the time of recording.
Yeah.
And you advertised it 7 days beforehand? Is that right?
About a couple of weeks ago.
Was it a couple of weeks?
Yeah, we didn't do that many. To be honest, we didn't do that many pushes for it. We sort of thought let's just do it. We called it EB Connect, and the idea was just to bring people together. So the EB space in itself is a community for employer branders. But the idea of EB Connect is to bring both the community together with anyone who works in employer branding or like friends of the space. So agencies, anyone who works in tech, anyone who sort of where EB is like in the sphere of what they're doing. And we had no idea how it would go. I've got to give a shout out to Flex actually, because they sponsored it and that was amazing, and also to Jorgen because actually he also like contributed as well. So incredible guy. But we just thought, well, what's the worst that can happen? We'll be left with loads of food, a venue. Full disclosure on the venue, we'd not been there before, so we were doing some
Lucked
research.
out. They were phenomenal.
Really nice venue.
It was really good.
And we both have pretty busy day jobs. Well, Alex doesn't even live in the country, so we were looking at different places to go to, and we're like, let's just choose here. And so yesterday we went. The venue looked really good, and then we're choosing all the food, the drink, and just hoping that people would turn up, and it was amazing. Like we're both still pretty blown away. Like this is the morning after, and also just really humbled because it was really fun. We wanted to do something that was a bit different. We had a chocolate hamper that people could win. This is where Alex will like let me go off on these random ideas. We had no name badges, so we put a networking question. A shout out to my friend Jared because he helped with all these questions. So we put a networking question on each of these badges and an EB buzzword, and then we had a chocolate hamper that people could win. So if you wanted to win the chocolate hamper, you had to fill in the bingo card, basically. And you had to find enough people with different buzzwords on there. So we wanted just to do something that was a bit more fun, a bit different, that didn't have an agenda, that didn't have anyone talking. There was no selling. It was literally like, come along, meet people. And you had people who were there meeting their friends, old and new, like meeting people that you'd not met before. Like there were a couple of people who came in and said, I don't know anyone. And I said, oh, cool, let's introduce you to people. And I know it was great. And I just feel really blown away. It was so good.
I love the fact there wasn't any kind of like agenda to it. And it's just literally, for me, I was busy during the day, but I was like, okay, I'll come into London, and it's like, it's just so nice to meet up with people I already know, but also chat with people that I don't know, see on LinkedIn or don't know, and just chat, and that was it. And I think there's a danger with events in the space. You could say lots of events where there is that kind of agenda, where it's thought leadership stuff, or this success, like talk about the best work that we've done, that kind of thing, and ultimately it's just people having a drink, non-alcoholic or not, or whatever, and having a few bites to eat, and just chatting and going home, like you said on Chris's Employer Brand podcast, that energy, you get so much energy for it. It was a bit fuzzy this morning, but I definitely kept the energy from it, absolutely.
No, good points though. Like it was interesting because you're taking people away from the squares on Zoom. Like you and I have chatted, so like we've had a chance to bit of a wider like camera lens. So like have an idea. Okay, maybe you're this tall, whatever. But a lot of people that I saw was either their DPs off LinkedIn. We've chatted tons, or off Zoom, and you're hoping, okay, I think I know who you are, but let's make the connection. But I think there is something to be said about in-person events. Just getting the chance to do that, because a lot of us, we're not keyboard warriors, right? We're not attacking people, but we were stuck communicating that way for several years. That Slack, WhatsApp, whatever our communication tools were, but to be there in person, there's something you can't replace. And we all have these strong connections, and to bring that in, where you're actually seeing somebody, you can chat, you can have a drink, you can eat, you can just laugh about different things and be in their presence. I think that it's powerful.
Yeah. Actually, I think we're now in a unique time where social media, particularly say LinkedIn, I think is a lot more rooted in being actually a social platform. Although of course there were criticisms of LinkedIn. That's for another time. That's not for this episode. But it's because we've been talking for ages. But there is that thing about, because we can all be seen a lot more on social media. When you then do meet up, there's that familiarity, whether it's like, oh, I recognise that person, or we've chatted on LinkedIn, and
You always
it's
feel like
great
you
to meet
know
up.
someone.
There's that familiarity. I love it. It's great. It's something you never got. You know.
There's that, but then there's
about
also
5 years ago.
there's some and we laugh about this from time to time, but like there are some people who are extremely social on LinkedIn, right? And then you meet them in person, it's like, well,
Split
what
personality.
happened? Yeah, split personality. They're just in a corner, and to each their own, right? But like I find that with yourself, with Claire, whereas advertised, right? This is gonna be this person, today, tomorrow, whenever, online, offline, but it is interesting what you the experiences you have with each individual.
And I think that's the danger of like, I think that's the beautiful thing about community, because you can meet people in person. There was this really nice moment yesterday when I looked up into the room and everybody was talking to somebody, not a person was on their phone, and I'd lost complete track of time at that point, and I just looked around and nobody was checking their phone, nobody was on it. It was amazing, and I think on the danger you have with social media and everything like that is that you put on a persona, and especially when you've got ChatGPT that writes things for you and stuff. And I get it, if you're not a natural writer, you might want to use something that helps you. But if you use that all the time and it becomes your crux, it takes away your own voice and your own personality and who you are. So you end up having, we said, like this kind of weird split personality. So you don't come across like the same way in person. You turn up to an in-person event and people expect a person who's really bubbly and outgoing, and actually you might be quite introverted. And it's like, but what you're presenting online isn't what you're presenting in person. I think that's the really nice thing about the community, though, is that I think it's safe to say, I think we give people just the space to be themselves. Like, it's a very natural community, and it's there for everyone. It's not about Alex, it's not about me. We want to be behind the scenes of it. Like, we want to, we manage it behind the scenes. We'll do all things like, we did our website in a weekend. And we'll do like all these little design things, and we'll put events on. But we there's no ego from us around it. It's literally just, we wanted to bring people together, and one day we might hand the reins over to someone else. It's meant to be about other people and just that connection and bringing people together. And I think last night for us, as our first event, we probably set the bar really high, but it also is it's just amazing to see people talking, coming together, like having just such a great time and actually wanting to be there. And that was amazing.
I agree. Yeah, I think we were at a point where Claire had her coworker Tom there. I had my wife and 2 sons. We're like, we got 4 people out of the RSVPs, right? This is all we have. We're gonna take a hit here financially, but we'll be okay. And then everyone came in to the point where like we had the QR codes on our phone to scan, and we just couldn't scan anymore. And then there just wasn't enough versions of us to be around to talk to people.
And 20 minutes in, we were pretty full. I think it was meant to start around 6:30, but by 6:30, like, it was really full, and there was this influx of people. I was like, okay, I don't need to worry anymore. Like, people are here. It was amazing. But you have that initial panic, and I think because we've not done it before.
Yeah.
We're not experienced hands. We both have day jobs. We both have quite busy lives, and Alex has got a little baby. I have like 2 chronic pain conditions that I manage like on the side of everything else. It's like, it's nuts. And
a little bit.
And we have like lives as well. But then doing this, it just brings it all home that it's like, this is worth doing. Like, this is worth like investing the time in and the energy in, because you just have just a night like this and all that running around, and we were cutting things out on labels and stuff like just before people came in. But all of that is like, it's just worth it, because all of that effort leads to people coming together. Exactly. And that community, and it's that's what we wanted to create for people, and this is just the start, hopefully.
You've got enough momentum for it to be spinning for a long time.
I think we'll be okay. Yeah, we just I think it just validates what we're doing, and that we, I wouldn't say, maybe it was a make or break situation where we're like, okay, are we mainly just people who are on Discord? Is it that? Because if no one shows up, okay, we can't really do another event. We're gonna screw
And
them.
that's fine, isn't it? You're also
Yeah.
testing it.
You have to
Yeah.
test
You know,
it.
there's a minimum viable element to it as well, which is no
Yeah.
minimum. That sounds like you do work. But you know what I mean? It's like, I think you're not placing too much pressure on yourself by going, the first event's going to be a conference, for example.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's because, as I say, you're busy and you've got lots of other things going on as well. But I think it's important to just get started on things.
Yeah.
You know that direction you want to go down, but just do it.
Yeah.
I agree. And then it's interesting, like with the event market or event scene here, because in the States and elsewhere, typically if you have like 45 RSVPs available, like on Eventbrite, you convert 40%. And so when we were right around 43, I'm like, we may get 10, 20 people show up, and we hit that mark. We killed that mark, which was just crazy. So I'm still surprised by that.
And we had 4 people who couldn't come, and they all called to say really sorry we couldn't come. I think it was like 1 or 2 people didn't show up, and that's that's fine. You'd expect it, but we weren't expecting people to be like, I'm so sorry I can't come. I'd love to be there. Like that, I think for us as well was like actually people reaching out to say
They actually
I'd
mean
love
it
to
too.
come. Yeah. Also, I think it helped. It was as a dog-friendly venue, so I think that also helped as well.
That's what sets our events and community apart, though, too.
Yeah.
Dogs and babies are welcome.
So what is next then for? I mean, what's the direction you want to go in more? Is it more events or what is it? What's your plan?
So watch this space for something we want to do next year. So we still want to leverage community. So we wanted to try this in the UK. We want to try this in another part of the UK as well. But also, we have a global community, so we'd love to take this into other countries, into Europe, into the States, into Asia. How we do that, we haven't figured it out yet. And being honest, it's the 2 of us, so we figure things out as we go along. We fly by the seat of our pants, being really honest. But with that it comes a really nice element of the world is our oyster, because we are not going into this with a set blueprint. We don't have some business plan or a strategy in that sense. We're trying this out, and we are testing it, and we're building as we go. And even growing the community to as big as it is right now, we didn't think that would be something that would happen, and we wanted to use this event to test the waters, to see, okay, is there an appetite for this? And clearly there is. So we're sort of building something in the background, and we'll probably release a bit more about that in a few weeks' time. We're still kind of working what that looks like, but we'd love to do more of this, I think, in other countries, and that that could be very much utilising our community to say, hey, if you want to run something, we'll help you do it, and then we're sort of just going from there, and just understanding what's the art of the possible. But at the bottom line for us is, does it provide value? So does it provide value for our community? And that's really important in terms of what does the community get from it, but also if anybody partners with us, what do they get from it? So it's always about two-way value for us, and making sure that everybody gets something from it, and nobody loses, so there's always something that's there for everyone.
It's a nice way of doing it. I think often it's that classic thing of like, if you're doing it because you want to get sales, you want to get money out of it, it's never going to work. You've got to have something
Agreed
at the core that keeps you going, because you say busy people, there's got to be something more than just, well, we've got to get something extrinsic out of this, and I think that is seen by the community, because they know you're being natural, authentic about it, which is why they go on LinkedIn to Vicky, Gus, I can't make it, and you know she's telling the truth, and they contact you directly saying, I'm sorry I can't make it, because it's like any business, any organisation, any tribe, community of people, isn't it? It's like they understand what's there, they know that's real. I really like that.
That's like a guy who reached out on one of our posts and stuff, and he was like, hey, have you thought about doing a video, 500 quid,
Yes, I remember.
I was like, I thought to myself, wow, that's really nice, but no, like literally we're not some big outfit. And if we're doing a video, we'll probably get our photos together and stuff, and I'll put something together on Canva. It will literally be a homemade shop type thing. Like our logos and stuff are not massively designed. This is me sitting on Canva, like designing things quite randomly, or on Procreate. We don't have like big budgets or anything behind us, and we use our own networks to help us, like our own friends, our own people who are willing to like give up their time to give us some advice and say, oh, this works, or this doesn't work, which we're eternally grateful for. But we wouldn't, if somebody gives us investment and stuff, we wouldn't spend it on things where we're like, this is, in some ways a little bit frivolous. We can do things ourselves, and anything we do get, it's like, we'll put it back in to like something that will benefit the whole community. Like, it's got to be something that's really useful rather than something that just won't help us. And I love that we get reached out to, but I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah, really. I mean, if anything, with sponsors who sponsor us or sponsor the event or the events we'll do in the future, it's really just for us to bring together people to cover a venue, or to cover one of us to travel to whatever location. I mean, that's I don't see us. We're not going to quit our day jobs doing this, right? It's just it's a passion project that is I don't know, we don't know where this goes next, right? But hate to sound lame, but it can only go up from here, though.
Absolutely.
Yes.
But you say where it goes next, but you know the direction. You know why you're doing it.
Yeah. We both love our jobs. Like we both love employer branding in this space, and if we go back to I guess the reasons why we wanted to do it, and there was a piece around bringing people together in the global community, but also on a personal note for Alex and I, we both come from diverse backgrounds. So the other piece for us was that we go along to a lot of conferences and events, and you'd see the same. You wouldn't see diversity, like speaking, bringing people together. It was always the same, and there's always a lot of ego around. And we wanted to think about, how do we do things differently? And it's the piece around doing things differently. How do we make things inclusive? How do we just say, look, there's no ego here, and we're two people who come from different backgrounds, and both of us have faced challenges in our career, because of it, because and I can't tell you the number of times I've been in a room where it's just middle-aged white men and it's just me, you're there and you're like, okay, you're so used to being the odd one out, that if I go into a room, I was in a course, and the course was aimed at for people who were of ethnic backgrounds, and it was really weird. So I was like, everyone in this room now is the same colour as me, and it's really nice but really weird, because I'm kind of used to that when I'm at home with my family. But with that, it's like we wanted to bring people together, and that was on a personal level so important to us, that we want to give people opportunities. We want to create something and take ourselves almost out of the equation. Like it's not Alex's community, it's not my community, it's not even our community. It's just something that we happen to co-found. We happen to bring people together. Great. And we happen to be, I guess, the puppets at the back pulling the strings. No, puppet masters pulling the strings for it. But everyone else just comes together to see the show, and we'll just make it happen. And I think that for us is personally really important. And if we didn't love employer branding, and I think that's the thing about this industry, it's a really tough job. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not we're joking about this earlier, but it's not really like a 9-to-5 thing. It is a real passion project. And I've yet to meet someone who's in this who hates it, who doesn't want to do it. And, we love it. So we thought, if we bring people together and everybody genuinely loves what they do and they want to make things better, then all you can do is create something, and then you've got so many minds in a room, in a virtual room, in a real room. And what can you achieve with that? Like, how far can you take an industry? And when I see things on LinkedIn, I might be going for a tangent, but things like, employer branding is dead, and, frankly, what's rubbish? I don't think it is. I think when you can create a community with hundreds of people in it, when people are so willing to make things go, push things forward and come together, I think actually that's really exciting. And I think you're in a real upward trajectory of where the industry can go, and I think for us that's why this is a really important community.
We go through feels like a third phase of employer branding. When no one knew about it, and then all of a sudden there were job titles. Oh, what's this employer branding? And then it's like this kind of third phase where I think it's most exciting part of it, where actually it does. Goodness me, let's not go down the route of talking about ROI and everything, but ultimately we know you only have to look at a Gallup Global State of the Workplace report to see the impact on the bottom line on businesses. If people are engaged at work, there's trillions of dollars of money that's saved by doing it. So if it's not the number one problem facing organisations, I do not know what is. So it's really exciting to have communities like yours to be able to fuel that, because let's be honest, 650 people is going to be fueling that, because they're all going back into their buildings, their desks, and they're taking that. You said both. What I'd really like to get is a kind of a, wrapping up now, is this thing about, obviously what's in our hearts is really important in terms of having an authentic community and doing things for the right reason. But what do you love about employer branding? What is it? What is it that puts a big smile on your face and goes, that is why I do what I do?
Outside of the stress and the tears. Let's go with the smile. No, I always go back to like what got me hooked from day one. And it's you always put yourself, like I put myself back in the position of an individual 8 years ago who was looking for jobs when I was relocating. And what always captured my attention through these different career pages was they would showcase the culture, right? Like the culture, all the fun things, the lame foosball tables and community efforts. But I love that. And to have a chance to always put that same smile on someone's face to make them engaged when they go through that process, like you always are going back to enhance that process no matter what, right? And you've gone from lame photos from before to videos now to implementing social to who knows, maybe augmented reality, VR, in the future. But there's so many ways that you can always fix that, and it always goes back to that main, I guess the main thing that got me hooked. So always finding a way to make that experience better, and just telling the story for any company that I'm working for. It's always a blessing. And I think that's what I really love the most. It's always giving back and helping out somebody. That's probably the main thing.
So this, many years ago, so I'll link this. There's a book called Start With Why. And I love that book. But when I think about why I love employer branding, it's got to do with that. And the reason why is you get to unpick the why of why somebody wants to choose your organisation, and you get to bring it to life. And there are so many different things that you can unpick and uncover. You're not just going into one part of your business. You are literally talking to many parts of your business. The sphere of influence you can have is incredible. And you can talk to people who are on your board versus people who are on the ground. You bring not just the stories to life, but you bring all the value bits to life. You bring your value proposition to life across your entire organisation and really understand like the nuts and bolts of it. And that for me is so interesting, because sometimes what somebody thinks about their organisation when they work for it isn't actually the reason why people work for it. And there is something really great about being able to go in and unpick that why. I think it's really magical, and being able to bring that to life, and however you want to do it, the challenge of bringing people on board, like bringing people on that journey, it's really tough. So I've not gone to any business that I worked for and gone, wow, this is a breeze. Everywhere I've worked has been a real mission to get people on board. But also when you bring people on board and they become your advocates, it's the chief marketing officer once told me, have a first follower. Have somebody who follows you and other people follow you. And I've always valued that advice, and it's always made me think, okay, who can I make my first follower? And every time I've done a difficult project or a campaign, I found that first follower and realised people then just follow suit, and it's been brilliant. And I love the challenge of it, the variety of it, different organisations that you go into. I've worked in so many industries. I know the ones that I find so boring, insurance, ones that I find really interesting, retail. But I love the variety of it. I just think it's a job that I will never get bored of. I find it interesting and fascinating, but it starts with why, and it's and how you bring that to life and what you can do with it is incredible. But also you have the power to do it. So how big you want employer branding to be depends on what you want to do with it. So and how you bring your leadership teams and your organisation on board.
Well, look, I think you're not just saying it because literally what you've done is you've decided to set up the community. Let's just hit live, see where it takes us, and let's set up an event. See where it takes us, and in both cities you've had lots of people join, and be happy that you created something. So thanks for creating it. Thanks for last night. Thanks for joining today. It's really good chat.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for all the support.
Well, that's it. Done.
Cool. That was ace.
Wow.
Good chat.